in approximately 32 nights from Lincoln Financial Field, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WrestleMania 40 will take place, featuring the night one main event of the visionary Seth Rollins, the World Champion, teaming with the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes against heel Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the Tribal Chief, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. If The Rock and Roman Reigns win, the match of night two between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns becomes Bloodline rules. If Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes are victorious, then the Bloodline will not interfere in that undisputed championship match on night two. We also have confirmed right now, obviously, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre for the World Championship will take place on night two. Io Sky defends her Women's Championship against Bayley. Rhea Ripley defends her Women's Championship against Becky Lynch. Other matches that are rumored, potentially Awesome Truth against the Judgment Day. Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. LA Knight, yeah, versus AJ Styles. Logan Paul defending the United States Championship against Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Gunther going to defend the Intercontinental Championship, it looks like, against Chad Gable. I just rattled off all of these matches off the top of my head. I think I got them all for now. Austin Arnold, your excitement for WrestleMania.
I'm very excited, and it's because I classify myself in the Cody Crybaby category. But unlike most Cody Crybabies, it's like a freaking tongue twister. Unlike most of them, I think I've come to the realization that I honestly think that Roman's going to retain. And I think
You agree with me. You're the only person I have found somebody that agrees with me. Okay, explain.
I okay, all right, go ahead, Brandon. Then
No, go ahead, explain. I want you
okay,
to.
okay, all right. So here's why I think that as much as I'm gonna be pulling really hard, I am gonna be hoping that I when I say this, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong because I want Cody to finally finish that story. But I think if you let the story go on for one more year and let it marinate, and Roman loses everyone at that point, it's
Yes.
like you would finally beat someone who's at the top, who would get Hogan's record. If he were to hold it for another year, I think he'd have Hogan's record. And I think he would just lose everyone at some point in terms of storytelling. If they were to have Cody win this year, I get it. I get it because you want to usher in the new era of wrestling. And I think if you let him win, then you need to, off the jump, year-long promo stuff for Roman Rock for 41. You have got to do
Oh,
like
I agree. I think it would be Rock, John Cena, WrestleMania 28 all over again, where they announce
yeah,
it, the next night on Raw. Boom, there you go.
yeah, you'd have to do that if you are going to go the Cody route, you need to 100% without a shadow of doubt in my mind, you need to promote that for a year and you need to make that the main event. That's why everyone's going to be turning it. And there's a lot of different scenarios that main event for WrestleMania could go. I think that the scenario that I'm falling into is I think Seth is going to turn on Cody and we're going to just see a bunch of crazy stuff. I think that Cody and Seth are going to win night. They're going to
Yep,
win that
I
night.
agree. Everybody thinks that Rock and Roman are going to win night one and they're going to stack the deck against Cody and everyone's going to come out. I don't think that at all. I
It
think,
definitely could happen, Brandon. I mean, like it.
oh, it
Listen,
could happen, but
if
here's what I think.
go ahead,
I
go ahead.
agree with you. I think Cody and Seth win night one. I think what happens is Cody Rhodes pins The Rock. Clean as a whistle, flat out, boom. Night two happens. We see Roman before the match, so pissed off, so angry at The Rock. He can't believe The Rock would let down the tribal chief. Roman is distraught over this. Meanwhile, Drew McIntyre takes his shot. He takes out the World Champion earlier in the night. Drew McIntyre wins the World Championship from Seth Rollins. Now a distraught Seth Rollins is so pissed off. He realizes McIntyre was right, that he was distracted too much by the bloodline the whole time. And when it looks like Cody Rhodes is about to become the champion, the ref spot happens, and Seth Rollins enters the ring. And when it looks like he's about to hit Roman with a chair, he hits Cody, hits the curb stomp, throws Roman on top of Cody, and a new ref comes in. 1, 2, 3. And WrestleMania 40 ends with Roman Reigns still your undisputed Universal Champion. And by the way, I think scenario number 2 is Cody Rhodes wins the title, but he does not walk out of WrestleMania 40 champion. Immediately right after, Damian Priest comes in, cashes in the Money in the Bank, and Damian Priest is your new undisputed champion. And even though Cody finished his story, now he has another story to finish. Now he's going to go after Priest.
Listen, I think that they have a lot of different scenarios they can go in terms of creative. I have publicly said to my friends, if Priest cashes in for that top title, I would be thrilled. I personally like Damian Priest. I think Damian Priest is probably my favorite member of Judgment Day. It's because I like, he reminds me a little bit of like that ruthless aggression type of wrestler. Now, if they were to go ahead and say, you know what, if everyone thought that Seth Rollins had a heist, why don't we make Damian Priest have the heist of heists at WrestleMania 40? It would be a by far, in my opinion, a bigger heist than the one with
Oh yeah,
Brock Lesnar and
because it's
Roman
the
Reigns
40th year
at the time.
anniversary of
Oh yeah.
WrestleMania, and you go from the longest title reign in history to the shortest Universal title reign in history.
Yeah, and I think that if Priest were to successfully cash in, which I hope he does at this point, because I feel like the WWE has fumbled a lot of opportunities with him to cash that in. If he were to cash in on the top title, if everyone thought that Dom Mysterio had heat, I think Damian Priest would have the most heat in the company.
Oh my God, you would
I
create a new heel.
Yeah, you have
Not that he's not
created
already a heel,
you
but
created the
like
mega
he's
heel.
that level of heel.
Yeah, and like don't get me wrong, I think that with Dom Mysterio being a if he's like a really big heel. Like that whole storyline with his dad, that was huge. Obviously, he lost. We knew that was going to happen. But if you get Priest to walk out of there with that title, you've created like the biggest heel I could ever think of because you have just made the guy rip the title out of Cody's hands, the face of the company. Heck, he might be the face of wrestling right now. If you have Damian Priest rip that away from him and he goes away the Universal Champion and is the top of the top, oh man, you not only did you just elevate, I don't know if I would say it's putting over Damian Priest, but you've definitely elevated him to a very new level of where he can be. And I think that you could give him sort of a push at that point. I'm not saying he'd hold it for long, but I'd say what, 2 or 3 PLEs and then he gives it up.
See, I think he'd hold it to SummerSlam, which, by the way, is pretty much confirmed now to be in Cleveland, Ohio. I cannot wait. I'm going to try to get tickets for that as soon as I humanly possibly can. Um, maybe it's Cody versus Priest in that scenario. Your main event for SummerSlam.
Yeah, I would like to see Cody and Priest for SummerSlam for sure. And who knows, maybe Priest ends up giving it to Cody. I think Priest would actually win that because I don't know if you would want Priest to just give it up after what? Because I mean, you have WrestleMania, and then what do they have right after that?
Then
Is it
Backlash is going to be in France.
okay? Backlash is going to be in
And
France.
then there will be the Saudi pay per view at the end of May.
Yeah.
And then you'll have Money in the Bank in Toronto.
Okay.
SummerSlam.
Okay, because I wasn't even thinking about the Saudi pay per view. I was thinking of Money in the Bank right off the bat, which we'll talk about that another day, just you and me one on one. But I think that if you're gonna have Priest have this run, I would say, yeah, about 2, 3 PLEs, have him retain if you're gonna put him on the card in the first place, and then you get the SummerSlam and maybe Cody gets it back. I don't know at that point, but
God,
it
you know how exciting it is that we have no idea what the hell is actually going to happen.
I know
All three of our
it's more
scenarios,
unpredictable. It's
yes,
more
and all
unpredictable.
three of our scenarios that we laid out could absolutely happen. Which, by the way, and I said this, and I know there was people, that were mad about The Rock coming in and stealing Cody's spotlight. it is of my belief, and I know you heard my take on this, that if Punk would have just won the Rumble, nobody would have cared. The reason why people got so upset is because Cody won the Rumble and pointed immediately at Roman. If he didn't do that, which I thought was the wrong decision, by the way, I would have had Punk win the Rumble. Now, Punk unfortunately got hurt, obviously, in the match. Going into the Rumble, I thought Punk was going to win it. I thought Cody would have to go through the Elimination Chamber if they were to go that route, because I was okay with, if you want to just do Rock and Roman and push Cody's story another year and have him do something else at Mania like Drew McIntyre, I'd be fine with that. Because I think fans sometimes rush all out, we want Roman's title reign over because he's boring, he's not on TV, this and that. But I'm sorry, the merchandise sales, the TV ratings, everything, Roman Reigns is still in the top 3, top 5 of everything. Roman Reigns, you see the reaction when he comes to the arena. He's still maybe next to Cody, you can make the argument, he's still the marquee attraction in the business.
Yeah, and it's apparent when you get pops like that all the time, and they're just for regular Raws or regular SmackDowns. Like Roman, from the time he went heel, like the beginning phase of him going heel to now, he's changed entirely in terms of how he executes his promos. His wrestling has just been as good as well. Uh, it's just really hard for me to rationalize letting Roman lose unless you are 100% sure that Cody can be the guy. And let's face it, I think if you're going to do it, I think Cody he's got a lot of traction right now. I think he's a guy that if you can have him win, if you want him to win, then fine, let him win, because I think that the fans would be over the top. That's why a lot of people are buying WrestleMania tickets in the first place, because I think everyone wants to see Cody finish the story. And if you go that route, I think you're still going to have a happy portion of the WWE universe. But if you have him lose, I don't know how disinterested you're going to get the crowd. I genuinely, I don't know. I think that when Rock almost took his spot, that we all saw Twitter. I mean, hell was on earth. That's how
I can't
crazy
make a case
it
of
was.
Twitter's only 20% of the population.
Yeah, and like it's only Twitter, but like the amount of people on Twitter, and I may have had a couple tweets here and there where I was like, "This is BS. Why is a TKO board member abusing his power?" But like the more you think about it and the more you sit on it, it's like, I honestly think from the jump that wasn't a work. I think that was real until the fans actually said something. But outside of that, if you let Cody lose and you go another year, I think you're still going to have a lot of people invested, because at the end of the day, I think strike one, strike two. Okay. I think third time, if you can't win it after a third time, then you're just not the guy to do it. That's how I look at it. And I
I
think a
can
lot
get
of people,
Roman to another year. If you want to do Cody at WrestleMania 41 as well, I can do Randy Orton. I can do AJ Styles. I can do another match with LA Knight. I could do Solo Sikoa, who would be a face at that point if he were to turn on Roman. I can book, by my scenario of thinking about if Roman was going to retain, was, this may sound crazy because I think it almost had to be done at WrestleMania because it's too big of a match. But if you really wanted to, you could have Roman and The Rock be the Royal Rumble match next year for the undisputed title with a face Rock still against a heel Roman. Rock would turn face in that scenario. Cody would lose the Rumble match by CM Punk, who would eliminate him, who'd come in at number 30. Punk would then go on to face Seth Rollins, who I think would get the world title back at that point. I think Cody would win the chamber. And I think we essentially would get what we should have got this year, which is Cody and Roman, then Punk and Rollins next year for WrestleMania.
that's definitely another way to look at it. I don't know. Like the way I look at this is, if you're gonna have Roman win, then you better hope and plan that you're gonna get Cody and Roman for the trilogy fight. Because then at that point you gotta have Cody win. If you don't do that and you have Cody win now, then you need to have the Rock and Roman year promo is what it is. You have to build it up for a year. already predetermined. There's really nothing to say about that. I just there's a lot of different ways this could go. I'm excited because this is more unpredictable than I've ever thought it would be. If I were to give a couple predictions on who I think are going to win titles and who's going to retain, I think with the tag match, we've already discussed this. It's not even for the titles at that point. For the tag match, I have Cody and Seth winning. Then Roman's going to win for that night too. But it could be flip flopped as well.
Yeah,
Vice
I do think whoever wins night one loses
is
night two.
Yeah, exactly. So the script is already out there at that point. If they do Jimmy and Jey Uso, I think Jey wins because
Yep.
Jay's been on a losing streak, and I think Jimmy has. There's no reason for Jimmy to win that at all. Um, Randy Orton and Logan Paul. I actually think Logan Paul would retain because I don't know if they'd want to give it to Randy, given that Randy's pretty much done everything in the book. I think they might want to
I
keep
think Kevin
Logan
Owens
a little
would be in
longer.
this match. I think it'd be a triple threat. I think Kevin would pin Logan. Randy gets protected. I think Kevin would take the belt.
Yeah, that could also happen as well. I mean, the way that ended at Rumble was awesome.
Oh yeah.
That the way that ended at Rumble with the brass knuckles
And the
being
referee noticing it, which has never been done before after the fact, where he's like, hey, you use brass knucks, you're disqualified.
yeah, that's a really creative way to end a match, and I give a lot of credit to creative for that. I don't know. I think Logan Paul could actually walk out of WrestleMania, which is an unpopular opinion with that title still. And if he doesn't, and your triple threat match does come to fruition, then yeah, I do think Kevin Owens could win it at that point. I just think the U.S. title is so small for Randy Orton at this point of his career.
Great.
I just don't get it. If they were to do that, I don't know, because what I'm thinking like the triple threat match for IC title with what Sami Zayn and
See, I
Gunther,
wonder if Sammy gets in the world title match somehow.
he could. I
What
don't
if
know.
you have Sammy pin Seth and Drew is still getting screwed? Could you imagine that
I just
emotional McIntyre being so pissed off that he wasn't involved in the decision
I know. I just for me, the way you go with Sami Zayn is you need to make him a jobber until Money in the Bank.
and have him win the Money in the Bank in Toronto?
Yeah, have him win the Money in the Bank in Canada. Have him do it there. Have continue to let him be a jobber and lose these matches he shouldn't lose. Put his stock at an all-time low. So when you get to Money in the Bank, you're elevating him again. It's just part of the script at that point. I think Bailey beats Io Sky. I think that's a belt that's going to get switched over. I don't know. I'm thinking McIntyre is going to beat Rollins. I'd be shocked if he didn't. If Rollins retained, I wouldn't be shocked, but it's like, well, when are you going to pull the trigger on Seth not having the belt anymore? It's
Hell,
just
Rollins could retain and Priest could cash in the Money in the Bank there.
he very well could. I mean, I think Priest, we are going to see Priest run down that long ramp. We're going to see him run down it. I don't know for what match, but he's going to run down it
Yeah.
and cash it in. You cannot hold on to it anymore. What is the point of you to hold on to it now? You have no reason to. You should have already cashed this thing by now. The WWE has botched a bunch of this. You need to cash it in at WrestleMania because if you don't, I don't know what you're going to do.
Backlash. I mean, that's the only.
Yeah, it's backlash. And it'd be forced. Like if you're going to hold out, fine, hold out. Just know that WrestleMania is coming up and you better cash it then. It's that simple.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
I disagree with you. They botched it because I think WrestleMania could make an incredible moment. And I think him even doing it on Seth, stealing Seth's heist, as you say, for an even bigger heist, doing it on the man. Like, what if he enters in and makes it a triple threat with him, Rollins, and McIntyre? And he does it that way, the way Seth did with Brock and Roman.
yeah, but I think if you want to really put the heat on Priest,
Oh, I agree.
and you need, and listen, it's nothing on Roman and it's nothing on Cody, but if you really want to bring out a beast like this devil that has not been touched at all, then you need to let Priest go in, get it off Cody. Cody has to start it all over again. And then I feel like that would be really compelling. And then you bring out the mega heel. He won't even get a word in at Raw or SmackDown. They're going to boo him when he enters the building. They're going to boo him when he leaves the building. It's
Austin,
that crazy.
It's been an incredible show tonight, man. We had so much fun talking all things NFL, NBA, March Madness, wrestling. Didn't have time to talk about a baseball with you. I didn't want this to go on forever. So as I'm rotating guests in here throughout this month, some people I don't talk NBA with, some people that are not wrestling fans, I don't talk wrestling with. So I try to mix and match with who we have. But I loved our conversation. This was fun. We went about an hour 20. And it's always good. I love bringing on people this time of year, as I said, because this is, I think, the busiest month of the year in sports. As the NFL, and I think you and I agree on this, the NFL is a year round league now, essentially. So you got that, you got the NBA playoffs coming up. Wrestling is arguably as hot as it's been since the 90s. We're having a really good time right now, man.
We're having a really good time indeed. Wrestling is at a premium. No matter who you watch between the two big promotions, obviously WWE is always going to be at the top. But no matter who you watch, you just saw what AEW did with Sting and the way they let him walk out. I thought
Absolutely.
I
That
thought that was an
Darby
awesome
Allin
way.
spot, just insane.
That Darby Allin is a freak. He probably has CTE. I don't know how he didn't cut an artery. That's one I saw that in live time. That's one of the craziest spots I have ever seen. But what people fail to realize before I start promoting myself, what people fail to realize is that they would have not done that spot unless Darby okayed it. And I think Darby actually wanted to do that. And that's just a huge misconception right now around social media is like, oh, how do you let that happen? Well, the wrestler wanted it to happen. And AEW is trying to bring this attitude era back. They're trying to be a little more vulgar, a little more graphic. It's not WWE. It's a completely different realm. It's basically rated R. That's how it is.
Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.